Hello everyone, welcome to the Crossley League official companion podcast with me, Joseph Taylor, and my co-host, Thomas Crossley. So, just some credentials before we start. Obviously, it's very well known that I took 245 in an international friendly versus the Netherlands in Amsterdam. Amongst that, I am a numbers man. I'm very fit for the role. How about yourself, Thomas?
Well, I had a storied career playing for Thorns Reds as a youth, 2 seasons in goal, 0 clean sheets, and then a very successful period at centre-back, also with 0 clean sheets. But it's a pleasure to be here with you, Joe. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, what a career it was. Yeah, no, excellent. I couldn't be in better company.
Shall we get to it?
Yes. So, the week in question. So, I'm just going to run through quickly some of the biggest stories of the week in the Crossley League. Obviously, the season started just under a week ago. Some crazy underdog picks so far. We had Tom Sheen predicting 1-1 correctly in the Brazil-Morocco game, gaining 3 points. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, huge call, really. Not many people were predicting anything but a Brazil trouncing there. So a good pick from Tom Sheen, who is actually the man who's designed the website for the Crossley League.
Yeah, mind you have to remember though, Morocco, well, whether they did or didn't win AFCON is, up for debate, but there's
no debate that they're a very strong side, that's for sure.
No, I agree with you completely, and it's worth mentioning that Edward Reed guessed 2-2, so got 1 point for the result there, also quite bold. And similarly, Dave the Bar and Steam Train Express both predicted 1-1 in Belgium-Egypt, gaining 3 points.
Now those are good picks. I think watching the game, it almost seemed inevitable. Belgium, older team, looking very leggy, but not many of us actually predicted that before the game.
No, right, and it's worth mentioning Hannah Wood predicting 2-2 and getting 1 point there as well. And so just to run through, who's doing well in terms of exact score guessing. Kira Lewis tops the chart on 4. That's a name we'll be hearing a lot in this episode and I imagine this season. And there's a few names on 3 correct guesses. So that's Adam Sheen, Ben Lewis, David King, Emily Sykes, and yours truly, Joseph Taylor, all on 3 guesses. And finally, just to mention some bold picks, whilst they didn't get 3 points, it's worth mentioning in the thriller between Germany and Curacao, which finished 7-1. Now, we'll talk about this in a bit, but no one got 3 points. But the closest was Jake Hughes and Edward Reed, who guessed 7-0. So, yeah. Fair play to them. Not far off.
Really big calls there on taking a big swing on a big score line. Of course, Curacao just sort of got in there and ruined their party.
Yeah, but worth mentioning still. So let's have a look at some of the top games of the season so far. So firstly, jubilation on the streets of Edinburgh after this one. What a huge moment for Scotland. 1-0 win over Haiti. First points in the World Cup in donkey's years. And below, we can see the list of people that predicted that right. Any standouts there, Tom?
A lot of big calls there. A lot of people, I think, they're just going with their gut. We know Haiti are a really small nation and not a nation with a storied footballing history. And while Scotland do have a big footballing history and serious passion for the game, also a really small nation. I actually stayed up for this game, and it wasn't the most entertaining watch, apart from, I must say, the rendition of Flower of Scotland by the Scottish fans. Easily the best national anthem of the tournament so far, sung with true passion and fervour.
Too right. And I can't help but notice that you're on the plus 3 point list there as well, so congratulations there, Tom.
Thank you.
Now next, a bit of a different game. Well, we've obviously just mentioned it. Germany-Curacao 7-1. Every single person that guessed, so not everyone in the league, as we'll touch on later, got 1 point from this game. So buy one, get one free.
Hey, yeah. I mean, that would have been a real upset if Curacao did anything but get smashed, basically. But still, it was a really entertaining game, not just to watch all the goals, but Curacao gave it a real good go for a good 45 minutes. What really scuppered them was the drinks break. They scored, hydration break came in, and they lost all that momentum that they'd been gaining. And at the end of the day, the class of Germany just was too overwhelming.
Yeah, Yeah, good analysis. What a game this was. I mean, going into it, some people thought Netherlands, some thought Japan. It could have been anyone. Do you think 2-2 was a fair scoreline at the end of the day?
I think it was a fair scoreline, and I think if people don't go back and maybe readjust some of their picks, Japan's going to continue to upset people. They're looking really, really good. They're a footballing nation that has been purposefully building on their cohort of players over the last 10, 20 years. The only way is up for them, but that's not going to be their last laugh in the tournament, let me tell you.
I agree there. They're a true nation of athletes. And worth noting that Adam Sheen, myself, Louise Crossley, friend of the podcast, and Rob Price all gaining 3 points from what actually, if that could have been quite a bold pick of the season if there wasn't 4 people that guessed it.
Could have been. Just noticing there, Adam Sheen cropping up a couple times, and again, a name that we might see a lot more in the future.
And finally, what a game this was. What a game. The best 0-0 I've seen. Everyone who guessed and everyone who didn't guess all getting 0 points, nil points.
First big upset, I think, of the tournament. Maybe not the biggest World Cup upset in history, but certainly in the top 10. Really strong performance from Cape Verde. It was like they just played without the knowledge that they weren't meant to be that good.
And for an island nation of about 500,000 people going up against, footballing giants, what spirit, what fighting spirit, the defensive wall. I mean, obviously, I don't think Spain played up to their capacity. I don't think they were inventive, really. But that's not taking anything away from the Cape Verdeans.
Well, yes, Spain's performance was classic Spain. Lots of silky moves, lots of silky players. But, with a few key people missing, like Lamine Yamal, they just really didn't have any bites to them. Something, as England fans, that maybe we can take a bit of hope from.
It's worth noting that Lamine Yamal actually did play that game.
Didn't start.
Yes.
Take that back.
No, that's fine. So, just a quick review of the league table. It's probably not surprising that Kieran Lewis, with the most correct scoreline guesses, is in first place on 16 points. Followed closely by Adam Sheen, who, whilst he's only got 3 correct scorelines, has 5 correct results. So it shows that those, 1-pointers add up. And then there's a couple of people tied in third, myself and Emily Sykes. A couple of people tied in fifth, Ed Reed and Louise Crossley, friend of the podcast. There, that's a summary of the top of the table. Are you surprised by any of those? Anyone that's gathering at the top?
Adam Sheen is a name that I didn't quite expect to see up there, but he's proving his footballing knowledge here. Kira Lewis, absolutely no surprise at all. That woman lives and breathes sports. Worth noting, I'd just like to draw your eye to Zadrian, down in 13th place. That is, of course, the previous champion from 2 years ago when we ran the Crossley League for the Euros. Now, I wouldn't rule him out just yet, but it's not a great start for him.
There's plenty of time, but it certainly is quite surprising to see him in, upper mid-table. Yeah. And obviously, one of the namesakes of the Crossley League, a few places below, Steve Crossley on 10. Surprising?
I think he might be a bit of a dark horse. Give him some time to grow into the tournament.
And just focusing on the lower end of the table, obviously there are 3 people all on 0 points. We can only presume that they have actually not guessed or predicted a single game. And so looking at the people that obviously appear to be engaging in the Crossley League, so from 33 upwards, who are you surprised that's down there? Is there anyone that you're not surprised at? And who do you think could be climbing the table in the next week?
As we'll come on to, Caroline Price, a friend of the podcast and my grandma, has had some really, really big picks. And that's a woman who's been watching football longer than most people in this league have been alive. So don't count her out. She could really make some moves.
If you got points for heart, she'd be in that upper third. Unfortunately, you don't. So, yeah, let's just have a quick word from our sponsor. Chain the Game. Discover the shortest chain of shared teammates between 2 footballers. I myself have personally used Chain the Game and found it incredibly entertaining and thoroughly well made. Have you used this, Tom?
I have used this. It's in a sleek design and it's a fun game to try and find players that you wouldn't have thought had close connections, and yet there's always James Milner connecting everyone.
All players playing in this current World Cup are in the Chain the Game database, so do please have a go on it. And thank you for sponsoring the official Crossley League Companion podcast. So now time for our picks of the week, where myself and Tom will pick 2 guesses that have been made, and we will state our case, and then we will choose a pick of the week. So I'll start. Both my picks are actually from the same game. Now, we won't mention what I predicted for this game because it was completely off. Now, obviously, neither Adam Sheen nor Caroline Price picked up those coveted 3 points from the guess, but my word, were they close. And how did they even get there?
It's a good question. United States, not got a great footballing nation. I think as Brits, we like to count them out, but they played fantastically and they really gave Paraguay a hiding. So both good, solid picks for the pick of the week.
Yes, I think if I had to put one of these forward of the 2, it would have to be Caroline Price. I think it is tougher to guess 4 goals than guessing that Paraguay might score in 90 minutes. So those are my 2 picks. I'm interested to hear what yours are.
Well, carrying on from Caroline's elite ball knowledge, she's the only person in the entire of the Crossley League who predicted Curacao to bag a goal against Germany. While she's picked up 1 point for a prediction of a 3-2 scoreline. That might be some way off the final scoreline, but still a huge call to predict Curacao actually giving Germany a run for their money that I just think warranted a mention. And then Kira Lewis with 1-1 Qatar-Switzerland, the only person to get 3 points on that game. And wow, what a prediction. Qatar, Middle Eastern nations, they're not quite there, maybe with the money in that region being pumped into the sport. That might change in coming years, but Switzerland, a great nation, a footballing pedigree, so 1-1, bold call and a good pick from Kira.
Very, very bold. Shows why she deserves her spot at the top of that table.
Quite right. Although, if I was going to settle my money on a pick of the week, I'm going to have to go with Caroline's 3-2 for Germany.
I don't think I can argue against that. I agree. Whilst it's incredibly bold to pick up 3 points by the 1-1 draw of Qatar-Switzerland, just to back a proud nation like Curacao to stand against the Goliath of German football. Not once but twice. I respect the heart, and it was a lot closer than what people originally thought it might be.
Well, agreed to that, and congratulations to my grandma. I'm sure she'll be very pleased to hear this, and we'll have to see if she can retain the title of the pick of the week next week.
Now, a bit more of a negative spin. Moving on for the picks, it's now Dicks of the Week. Silly old fool. So, I found this quite tough. Obviously, first episode, first week of the season. It's very tough to highlight anyone. I based it off of my own poorest prediction, in my opinion, which was predicting that Turkey would beat Australia 3-0. Now, that may be some personal cricketing bias as to why I did that. We'll never know. And I was settling on choosing myself and throwing myself under the bus until, unfortunately, I saw Jake Hughes had predicted 4-0 to Turkey. Categorically, I have to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, a 6-goal difference between the actual score and the predicted scores, it's hard to justify, isn't it? But that said, I believe I'd back Turkey as well. Maybe not to those extreme margins, but a great game and some great counter-attacking football from Australia.
Yeah.
On a similar vein to you, I had to go with my pick of 1-0 Paraguay for the United States. In hindsight, I think it's just prejudice speaking there. The Americans hosting, as Brits, we all like to rib on those Americans for abandoning the glorious colonies that we had all those years ago. And I think that left a sour taste in my mouth. But, they put the egg on my face with the performance that they showed against Paraguay.
Yeah, and overall, I think I agree with your choice of yourself. I think that was a completely ridiculous prediction. So, congratulations.
Okay.
Congratulations, Thomas Crossley. You're our Dick of the Week.
Well, thank you. Okay, now onto this section where we review upcoming predictions for the next game the next week's games.
Are they spot on, or is the game gone? That's the question.
That is the question. We're going to begin with some predictions for the Czech Republic against South Africa. We have Richard Tomlinson predicting a 1-0 win to South Africa and Rob Price predicting a 2-0 win to South Africa. Now, did you watch the opening game, Mexico-South Africa?
I did.
Joe?
I did.
And how did you think South Africa performed?
Poorly.
Very poorly.
Yeah.
I think I also didn't predict them to get beaten so comprehensively, although, I think we all have fond memories of that Shabalala goal to open the 2010 World Cup and just thought, oh, yeah, South Africa will give them a go. But in hindsight now, these picks, and there's not many picks for South Africa to beat Czech Republic, these picks could prove quite tricky to be realised. But then again, South Africa might have a regain.
I agree. I think whilst we can state opinions on the USA being negatively biased, I actually do think that South Africa gets a lot of positive bias from the memories of that 2010 World Cup. Lots of people in the league will have been young. To me, South Africa represents that the boyish childhood naivete that we all have deep within us. The love of running in the fields. If I were a betting man, I would not be backing South Africa.
Me neither. But part of me hopes that I'm wrong and that they show up and give us a result, and that Rob Price and Richard Tomlinson are in fact spot on.
Yes.
Moving on now to Mexico versus South Korea. Now, for me personally, apart from the England games, this is the match which I'm looking forward to the most. Mexico looked good against South Africa, a big footballing history, a lot of quick technical players. And South Korea, much like Japan, are a growing football nation with some extremely techie players. And here I have my prediction of 3-3. I just think that's going to be an absolute goal fest. They might not necessarily have the best defenses, but my God, there's goals in both of those teams.
Yeah.
And comparatively, we've got David Battle predicting a 1-0. A very different storyline to the game than I predicted. But, there's every chance that those two attacking forces could actually cancel each other out. What do you think, Joe?
I mean, if there's one thing we know about South Korea, it's that they train hard and they play hard. I agree. I think this will be a game fought on two fronts.
Yeah, don't disagree with that. We'll review these in next week's episode. Won't we?
Yes.
Okay, now onto this section, final funnies. Joe, would you like to explain?
Yeah, so just to wrap up something a bit lighthearted, we'll be discussing a bit of trivia and a joke, and then we'll be doing our closing remarks. So a bit of trivia, obviously. Huge week for Cape Verde. The capital of Cape Verde is Praia.
Say that again, Praia?
Praia, Praia.
Very nice. And what happened in Praia this week?
Jubilation on the streets, my friend. They were loving the Spain 0-0.
Yeah, quite right. Hopefully they continue to have a good tournament and Praia continues to enjoy the frivolities of success.
Oh yes, they'll be living on a prayer, that's for sure.
Very good. Well, that might actually trump my footballing joke for the week. So, Joe, when you've been watching the games, have you noticed that there's always a lot of photographers on the pitch?
Yeah.
It's like they don't even realise it's on TV.
How droll. So, thank you for listening to the Crossley League official companion podcast. Any community questions we welcome, so please send your voice notes on WhatsApp to +44 7473 747450. This has been a Joseph Taylor production, and thank you to our sponsor, Chain the Game.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
See you then.